and the one that focuses on a probe into the 791 million shillings that went missing from NYS. And this morning, the Director of Criminal Investigation, Ndegwa Muhoro, appeared before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. They're trying to figure out the direction this money took. They're trying to figure out who should be held responsible and accountable for what happened in NYS. Remember, the President recently at the Youth Summit at State House said the projects that had been started to do with NYS should be supported to its completion because it makes a whole lot of difference in the lives of young men and women. So let's have a conversation about what happened with respect to the 791 million and the fact that Ndegwa Muhoro appeared before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. We're speaking to Patrick Amimo. Patrick, good afternoon. Let's talk about what the Director of Criminal Investigations had to say and the fact that they're now recommending that Harake Wako should now face the full force of the law, because as initially there was indication that someone had stolen his password, someone went through his password. Now it's coming out very clearly from Ndegwa Muhoro's team that this may not have been possible. What else stood out for you?
Thank you. Indeed, when this matter came up that there was some malpractices at the National Youth Service, the Criminal Intelligence Unit took over the matter, and already from the Cybercrime Unit, an officer from that unit has already confirmed that the browser history showed that Halake's password was never stolen or compromised as such. He says that it's the opinion that you can only lose your password if you share it. It's at user level when you can now when the password can be tampered with. But from the investigations by the Cybercrime Unit of the CID, they said that there was no malware at the computers that were being used by Halake. That's why the CID department did suggest to the Director of Public Prosecutions that Adan Harake be charged over this fraudulent deal involving the 791 million shillings. But when the file went to the DPP said that Harake should not be charged, but instead he should appear as a witness of the prosecution. Remember, in this particular matter, 22 officers have been charged that did belong to the NYS, and the matter is before the court. And also, the Director of Criminal Investigations has indicated that there are ongoing investigations involving 21 companies. Out of these 21 companies, eight companies, the investigations are over. And strange enough, out of these 8 companies, the sole signatory is Josephine Kabura. Remember, Josephine Kabura is one of the persons of interest in this all NYS scandal. She was a former hairdresser for the then Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru, and she's now also one of those people who have been charged before the court over this NYS scandal. The director of CID says that the second probe they are investigating involves almost 1 billion shillings, touching on 21 companies. Remember, the 791 million shillings involves 6 companies where Josephine Kaburia is the sole signatory of those particular companies. And in these 21 companies that are the second probe involving 21 companies, again, 19 companies are owned by Josephine Kabura, and she also happens to be the sole signatory of these particular companies. So it is a matter that has been canvassed before the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee, and members of the opinion that now the former Deputy Director General of NYS, Adan Harake, should be charged for this fraudulent deal because they think that he knows more about it, and they also questioned the evidence that he gave before the committee. They're also suspicious about the evidence and they want him charged. But the Director of Prosecution says that he does not understand why the DPP decided not to charge Adan Harake, but it is his conviction that Harake should face the law over the scandal that happened at NYS. Akisa?
Amimo, it's Linda. I know you're used to seeing Akisa this time, but it's Linda. Listen, there are 2 other individuals that have been adversely mentioned in this. So you have Josephine Kafura, and of course we had Ben Kethi, who appeared before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee yesterday. And then today we've also heard from Ndegwa Muhoro. But the team that came with Ndegwa Muhoro has sort of created the link between Ben Kethi and Josephine Kafura and the trail of money.
Indeed, they've been able to trace that particular link. Remember, these are officers from the Cybercrime Unit, and they said that already from their forensic audit of this particular computers, they've discovered that these particular computers, Harake Wako did sign and indeed he did endorse the transactions. And again, when they've gone to the bank unit, we have an officer from the banking anti-fraud unit who said that the money was being withdrawn from these accounts owned by Josephine Kabura, going to Ben Gethi, and also going to a Samuel Madime, who received 40 million shillings. And something about these particular transactions was that the deposits withdrawals were made earlier than the deposits. So it's according to the officers, it's something that it was a well thought out scheme to defraud NYS of money, in order to also allow not to allow the finance reporting center capture what was happening at this particular NYS with the companies that were dealing with this particular firm. So they've been able to trace the monies and how Josephine Kabura, together with Ben Gethi, the Mwadime, and other persons who are involved in these particular matters, how they went about defrauding the National Youth Service of this particular money. But they say the probe is ongoing.
Amimo, this is weird. This is weird. Apparently, the withdrawals happened before the deposits.
Yes, indeed. That's what the officers of the anti-banking unit, banking anti-fraud unit have discovered. And some of these transactions were also done in the dead of the night. So it shows that these are people who are very keen on what they were doing, and they really know. You remember, this money came at the time when the NYS had now been a lot of money had been pumped into NYS. And remember, the 2013-2014 financial year, NYS was given 17 billion shillings, and the following year, NYS was given 25 billion shillings. So it's like it would appear that some officers, some crafty individuals there knew that there was money, there was now money to make, maybe to squander here, and they came up maybe formed companies and strategize on how they can defraud the government of this particular colossal amount of money through projects that were never delivered. Remember also, the CID officers discovered that some of these overdrafts, there was an addition of a zero on the amounts. Like they've talked about a road project that was indicated it had cost 78 million shillings, only to find that it cost 78,000 shillings. So these are some of the scandals that were ongoing there through the additions of more zeros on the overdrafts, and in the end stealing money from the NYS and the Treasury, as it were.
Amimo, whoever was involved in this thing must have been very crafty. So one, they were making withdrawals before deposits, and these are transactions that were done in the dead of the night, and then someone is busy adding zeros. So clearly we're just adding more players into this whole scandal. So let's see how it plays out. Talk to me about Josephine Kabura. She was expected to appear there today in the afternoon.
Indeed, Josephine Kabura is a person of interest, and we were expecting her. She was supposed to appear before the committee this afternoon at 2:30, but apparently a few minutes to 1, she did send word that she will not be able to appear because she wants to compile more information, or maybe to get more dossier on this particular matter. Remember, when Kabura was also charged before the Anti-Corruption Commission, and when she appeared before the courts, she did indicate that she was used as a decoy. She was just merely as a conveyor belt of these particular monies, and she says there were certain individuals whom she claimed ended up pocketing the money. So maybe given that she might have been following up the proceedings to see where the debate is moving, that's why maybe she might have developed cold feet and said, okay, maybe let me compile more evidence so that when I appear before the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee, I might have some info to counter what has been already put before the committee. Because remember, Alake, when he appeared before the committee, he did indicate that some of these things that did appear or that were put on him, most of them, he said, were fabrications. But what the CID has come up with is now showing indicators that Harake really knew what was happening, and he should be also a person of interest and probably be charged at the court over the NYS scam.
Okay, Harake is going to be
But for Kabura now, she's asked for more time to appear maybe in 2 weeks' time. That's when she'll come to give her side of the story to the committee. Linda?
Okay. Clearly, the next few days are going to be very tough for Harake. And of course, Josephine Kabura, I had one of the committee members saying this is the 3rd time that she's actually cancelling that meeting the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. Patrick Amimo, thank you for speaking to us. Let's keep an eye on this story as well, because putting in mind what the Director of Criminal Investigations, Ndegwa Muhoro, and his team had to say, then this just unravels a whole lot of information with respect to 791 million shillings that went missing from NYS. So we'll see how this goes now.